PEVs are life-changing devices. I mean, there's so many people I've met through my journey of PEV riding that have told me the same thing. Like, I was depressed and then I started riding a one wheel. I was, broke and I was looking for a new way to get to work and I got an EUC. My family, like we were all like cooped up during the pandemic and we got on e-bikes and we started riding together and it just changed our whole family dynamic. They're just these amazing devices that can really like change everything in your life. And the community is something that, having been someone that's ridden one wheels and scooters and e-skates and just all these different rides, I've really gotten to see how similar all of these groups of communities really are. So when I moved from San Diego in California to Arizona, I was really nervous. I was like, am I gonna find another community? Because the SD skate community is really tight knit. I ride with a lot of great friends there when I'm there still, when I go back. And I got here and I'm like, oh man, I hope I find a bunch of e-skaters. And there's not a ton here. There's a few, but there's a huge EUC group and a really passionate group. And so I jumped into that group and now I'm riding with mostly EUC riders. Even though I'm on a skateboard, they still just accept me riding to that group. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about PEV. It's super fun to go ride alone and vibe out to some music or something, but riding with others is just a whole nother level of fun. So I've been trying to find a way of unifying all of these groups of these people that I know across the country now and really across the world. I have friends that are, in other countries, in Australia and in China and like all these different places that we all share this one feeling of this love for PEVs, no matter the platform. And I think that's something very unique to the PEV community. It's not, like you see the guys with Jeeps, right? You ever see the Jeep wave? You're driving, you see another Jeep, you give them a wave. Or motorcycles, like they give them like that, you put your hand down or whatever and you say like, hey, it's like this little like camaraderie. So I started thinking, I was like, where have I seen awesome examples other than like, the wave or those things? And I started thinking back to when I was a kid. And my dad got a motorcycle when I was like 13. And he had a few before then, but he got this bike and it really changed his life. It gave him this new kind of group of friends. He started riding with different people and he would take me as his kid to like these biker bars, for like lunch and stuff like that and hang out. And I started noticing like all the little vendors. There was these guys that would do pinstriping and you could pay to have your bike pinstriped right there while you were having lunch. Or, they sell bandanas and sunglasses and all this stuff. And there were these little bells. And I was like, Dad, what are those? What are these little bells? And he's like, oh, those are Harley bells or Gremlin bells or Guardian bells. And I'm like, okay, what's the deal? And he's like, well, Guardian bells are meant to be hung low on your bike and they capture the road gremlins that are trying to pull you down. It's like a charm, like a traveler's charm to protect you on your journeys. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. I remember just like being in awe of like all the little designs and stuff and you can get them in your own style. And I was like, oh, let's buy one, And my dad's like, no, you can't buy them. I was like, what do you mean you can't buy them? He's like, well, you can't buy them for yourself. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting, And he's like, they're given rider to rider or from a loved one to a rider as a way of protecting them when they're on their rides and on their journeys. And the idea on the bell is that it captures the gremlin and it holds it in there and it makes it go crazy because it bounces around inside the bell. And you take that bell with you. If you sell the bike, you take the bell off. And I was like, God, that's so cool. And I was thinking that, and I was like, man, like, I'd love to see something like that in our community across all disciplines. And so I was like, let's do it. And so today I'm introducing you to this idea of Guardian bolts. And these are little lightning bolts. They're little charms that you can put on your helmet. You can put it on your board. You can put it on your remote control lanyard. You can just do like a little keychain loop. You can put it anywhere you want. And this isn't something I'm selling. I don't want to make any money on this. It's not anything like that. It's something that's just been weighing on my heart lately. And I'm like, I'd love to see, more camaraderie across disciplines. Some people are like, oh, I'm only EUC and I hate everybody else, or I'm only E-skate and I hate everybody else. And like, there's all this like negativity and it's like, we don't need that, man. The rest of the world is already looking at us like we're crazy and they don't totally get it. And I think the way that we can bridge that is like, wow, all those groups are really unified around this like new form of both transportation, but also just like camaraderie and fun. So I reached out to a lot of my friends throughout the community because I've met a lot of great people throughout this. You know, the cool thing about doing YouTube is I talk to other YouTubers. Like, we're all like cool with each other. It's really rad. It's not, you know, somebody could use someone else's discount code and then that person doesn't get money, but like I still see people recommending other people's videos and stuff like that, and just because they want to like support one another. And that's just awesome to me. So I reached out to Patrick Phillips. I reached out to Joe W., SoCal legend. I reached out to Scott Davies. I reached out to James and the guys, Mike Beard at Imboards. And I reached out to old friends that aren't even YouTubers or anything, like Cody, which is Raider Eskate on Instagram, and my buddy Reggie, and just like a bunch of people. And every single one of them were like, this is a rad idea. Let's do it. So I'm dropping Guardian bolts into the mail on Monday morning, and they're going to all these different communities throughout the country. And I'm sending them multiple, one for them from me, and then also like a handful so that they can start giving them to their riders. So if you're in Chicago, hit up Sly Dog Stro because he's gonna have some. And if you're in, you know, Atlanta, hit up Patrick Phillips, he's gonna have some. And if you're in San Diego, hit up Kyle Keller and Cody because they're gonna have some, and SDE Skate and all these different groups. And if I don't know your group and you want to be part of this, there's a link in the description. It's $10 for 100 of them. So they're super affordable, and it's just something to unify kind of this whole community. If you want the charm to work, the tradition is you give it to another rider. So you don't buy them for yourself. You buy them and you give them away, and you give them to that rider to protect them on their rides. And, you know, I think the lore behind this is that it's Zeus's bolt and he's going to strike down anything that's in your way when you're on your ride and protect you. And that's kind of what I think is the spirit behind all of this. And it's just like a little visual nod to know that, like, hey, I'm part of this bigger movement. I'm part of something that's going to change things. We all know it. Everyone that is passionate about PEVs knows that this is the future. The micro mobility and last mile commutes and just the fun of it all. Like, this is it. If it's an e-bike or a EUC, a scooter, it doesn't matter. It's the passion that we have of finding these new alternative ways of travel and just joining together on the weekends. Maybe you're just a weekend rider and you don't commute with it. And you come out, you put your gear on, and you get out on those rides, and it's that moment of just kind of escaping from like the mundane, you know, day-to-day life and finding just fun in something totally different than what else is going on. I think we all feel that feeling when we're going through like a crowd and you see, like, especially like the little kids, like they look over and they're like, whoa, like we look like superheroes to these people. It's these little kids and they're like, whoa. And you see these little kids, like 4-year-olds riding EUCs and e-skates and stuff, and you're like, dude, they're gonna just be ripping one wheels, and you know, it doesn't matter the platform, like I said. It's really about the spirit behind it all. So I really just hope this is something that catches on across the country, across the world, as a way to unite all of us. Please take this video. All I ask, I'm not trying to make money, is just to share the concept. That's it. Just push it into your communities, let people know it exists, and buy these suckers. I mean, it's $10. You can probably get them even cheaper if you don't buy 100. And give these little lightning bolts to each other as a way to protect one another, to tell you like, hey bro, like, I got your back even when I'm not riding with you. So I just want to say thank you to all of the groups that I've ridden with, and all of the people that I've reached out to that are going to be passing these out as well. I think it's just awesome that everybody instantly was like, that's rad, let's do it. That just shows kind of the spirit behind all of this. And I just can't wait to start seeing these things out in the wild. If you guys have any questions or comments, drop them down below. Throw me a little subscribe if you haven't visited the channel before, and I'll see you guys next time.